What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Riding Dad channel video, or welcome if it's your first time. Either way, very glad to have you. We are in the middle of actually this is the beginning of a three-part. I'm gonna make it a 3 or 4, I haven't decided yet. It's a multi-part series on building a bulletproof primary. That's gonna mean the 3 parts of the primary, which is the compensator, the clutch pack, and the chain tensioner. We're building a bulletproof primary because I have future plans for the bike, and it's just could use an upgrade in general from stock parts anyway, so why not go ahead and do it now. So bulletproof primary, I'm pretty sure 3 parts, but anyway, this is the first part, so if you're here and you have no idea what I'm talking about, this is the good place to start. Or if you're here from one of my other videos because you came in too late to the series and you want to see what we did before, welcome. Let's roll the intro, we'll talk about what we're doing.
Riding down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a YouTube channel, it's the Riding Down a thing that you found.
All right, so first and foremost, if you like my shirt, I got it at Tucker Speed. It's a Crooked Clubhouse shirt. I'm sure you could probably get it from Crooked Clubhouse or other vendors and stuff. However, Tucker Speed, you guys already know I like them a lot. A lot of you guys have been using them and have nothing but positive things to say. They're a great company, super good. So yeah, if you haven't seen everything that I've got going on, especially if you haven't seen, if you're looking at me like, Blue, when did he get blue on the bike? What is going on? If you haven't seen that, go ahead and make sure you check out all my other videos on the playlist to see what I have done yet. But so far, or today, we are going to be tackling this primary. I can't tell you how excited I am not to have to pull the outer or the inner primary, because I just did a chain kit on my buddy's bike with him, and it is so nice to not have to pull the inner primary as well and know that I'm just dealing with kind of superficial almost stuff. So anyway, what we're going to do, I'm gonna have to take off my front foot control. Gonna go ahead and drop the derby cover, the shift arm itself, and then obviously take off all these bolts. That's what I'm going to do now. You guys will obviously see it on video. As a helpful hint, and or you might already see that I've done it on other videos, or you may know yourself, depends if, Sharpie comes off real easy because there's just a metal shaft. I've taken Sharpie or like a Milwaukee permanent marker, but you could do, like in the past, I've used Crayola markers if you got them lying around because they just come off with your finger and stuff. The only downside is if you're doing a lot of stuff, you have to be careful you don't accidentally bump it, because then that line is gone. But what I'm trying to say, wherever your shifter arm is or wherever your shifter setup is, you should have a kind of a mark where the 2 halves of metal separate, obviously, in your actual arm or whatever you have going on with your setup. That's where you tighten it down so it stays crimped on there. Or not crimped, but it stays tightened on there. If you put a metal or a line on that shaft, then it'll always be in the same position when you put it back on. You just have to match up that line, and then you don't have to worry about, oh, is it the same exact? I don't know, like for me, that is a super big annoyance. So just kind of a pro tip. I'm gonna move you guys a little bit closer. This is the first day I'm actually utilizing the full capabilities of this lift stand, and I am loving it. My back is gonna be so happy. I can sit upright, do this, I can do whatever I want to the bike. Perfect. So it'll be a lot easier as far as filming angles and stuff. It could be right on because my a tripod only goes so low, and I'm not gonna buy another tripod for $30 when I can buy a lift stand for $500. Obviously that makes the most sense here. So all right guys, I'll move you guys closer. Like I said, we're dropping the shift arm, the front foot control, or the mid control, but in the front with the Softails, derby cover, and primary itself. And then I'll talk to you about what's next. All right, once you get the primary off, before we go any farther, 100% completely forgot to say, make sure that your oil is drained out of the primary using the actual normal drain bolt as if you were doing a primary oil change prior to doing that. I let mine drain overnight, just something I just popped off last night because I knew I was going to be doing this morning. So just go ahead and make sure you drain. I put my bolt back. You don't have to until the end of it, but make sure you do because otherwise you waste all your new oil. So go ahead and make sure that's drained. Also for what we're doing, make sure that your clutch cable, whichever kind of clutch cable you have, is adjusted so it's all the way in. So your clutch lever should do nothing when you hit it. The cable should be adjusted all the way in. So now we're gonna need snap ring pliers for this. Behind this kind of plate that's gonna come off on this clutch is gonna be a bolt that is reverse thread, and it is gonna be a 1 3/16 size nut, or a nut that's reverse thread. Well, yes, technically the bolt also, but the nut is what we're gonna be taking out. And then on the left side, the stock compensator uses a Torx 70, and this is normal lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. So also going to, you'll see we'll put a zip tie in this way and then down around to hold the stock tensioner. It's gonna help removal, and if you put it back in and everything, it's just gonna help everything go smoother. So we're gonna put the zip tie in there, take those bolts off, take the compensator out first, then we're gonna go ahead and deal with the clutch. I will say that you will need some sort of tool. In the past, on my old Dyna, I've used just a decent piece of wood to go in between these gears. Obviously, that is less than ideal. Jim's makes a specific tool. I've used this Amazon tool this is now, I think, my 4th install using this for whatever reason. And it's just basically like a little mini stairway for ants, I guess. But you basically just put it in there against the gears and stuff, and when it butts up, it locks it down so you can actually tighten or loosen depending on what you're doing. So this is a pretty good deal. Let's go ahead and do everything. Once that is all done, we're gonna take the entire unit off. Depending on what you're doing, make sure that you pay special attention to how the compensator rings are, the pressure rings behind it are, because they have you probably would not be able to know what they are just by looking at it, but they have a series of different spring tensions that work with each other to compensate. So once we do all that, we're gonna take everything off as a unit and put it down on the wood board. I'm gonna make sure everything is cleaned up. Also, take off your stock gasket. You need to replace your gasket. For those of you with a mid-control, or even if you just have the shaft plugged up, it's always a good idea. This is now my 2nd time taking the primary off, so I am for sure going to replace this tower gasket, which is basically just a gasket in there. I'll take it off before I forget. We'll clean that up. I'm going to be using a different oil, so I am going to clean the heck out of this just so I get all the old oil and everything out and really go in there with a good shop towel and get everything out. One thing to note, I've used it in the past, but everybody says not to. Well, sometimes people say not to, really just depends on who you talk to. We'll probably wind up using a impact on this bolt, or nut technically, but on this Torx bolt, your stator is right behind there, and supposedly using an impact jostles the stator around, and we don't want that. However, you're getting aggressive torque and everything from the compensator. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think this whole powertrain gets a lot of aggression based on what it literally does all the time anyway, but we'll try not to, and we'll just use a breaker bar on that. So let's go ahead and take everything out of the primary. All right, now that everything is off, it is time to finally start installing the Man of War Compensator. This is not a compensator delete. This is indeed a compensator. There are internals. Let me see if I can get this to focus. This is what comes with it. This is kind of a brief overview. It is a compensator. It's a sprocket. It doesn't compensate the same way, but it isn't just a solid metal sprocket. There are internals that do help compensate. I went ahead and went with the stock gear ratio for this. So part of this you guys will not see on video, but I will talk about it. It's very easy. So first of all, they recommend, they require that you check run out of your main shaft, your sprocket shaft. So check run out. It should be, where is it? 0.01 inches at max. They say if there's anything over that, you can go ahead and contact Darkhorse, and I'm not sure, maybe they'll have to custom make you something or just tell you how to fix it or whatever. Then that's kind of it. The other part you won't see, unfortunately, in this video because of how I'm filming this is you have to check the alignment. So they want you to torque it to 20 foot-pounds on there. And by the way, it's going to go flush. You need to remove, this is kind of the stock. It always kind of hangs back. It's almost an adapter, if you will, for the stock compensator. So it's just another splined shaft. So you have to remove that. Basically, this is gonna sit flush, assuming that your your alignment is good. Basically, you're gonna take a straight edge between the sides of the sprocket or the sides of the teeth on your compensator sprocket, and then whatever you're using for your clutch sprocket. Well, like I said, you guys will unfortunately not see that part in video because this is a series, but I'm explaining to you. So you put both of them on. They recommend torquing the Man of War down to 20 foot-pounds. You check the alignment, make sure that there is, where is it in the directions? No more than a quarter of an, or 0.025 inches. So no more than that as far as like play directional wise for alignment. If there is, you can use the supplied shims. There are two 0.015 inch shims. So they're identical, just two of them. So you can use one or both before you put the sprocket on. So if you need a shim or two, you put those on. Then you put the Man of War on, which is a big heavy boy. And it's hard to align this with one hand. Put that on. Then you go ahead and put the oil spinner washer on, and then you would put the actual bolt on. And then that's it. So it is a heavy setup. It is still, I would say, probably about the same weight, if not lighter than the stock setup. There's a lot to that stock setup. I'm pretty excited about it, so I guess let's just bolt it in, and then we'll continue. I'll come back for part 2 and 3, I guess. Alrighty, guys. Unfortunately, you can't see the actual bolt process of it because that's going to be in video 2. Part 2, part B. I'm not sure how I'm labeling it. Video 2, though. So yes, why Man of War Compensator? One, the stock compensator, not only with more power and aggressive riding and clutch dumps, which is all things I do, but even with stock bikes, just mildly relatively aggressive riding, they are somewhat known to break. This is not a problem by all means. That means you need to go to your dealer and complain about it, or go online and buy a Man of War or something else or whatever, or a store comp or moonshine or whatever. It doesn't mean that. It just means that there is a small percentage of them out there that are breaking, and I don't want mine to break. I'm making more power. I'm doing clutch dumps. I'm riding aggressively. So yes, you can upgrade it. People make different ramps. For the stock compensator sprocket, people make whole assemblies. People make compensator deletes, which is essentially a sprocket that looks super similar to this, but some of them look like hollow almost. They have like almost like cutouts in them and stuff because it's literally just a gear. I didn't want to do a full compensator delete. When you do a compensator delete, so for those of you who don't understand what a compensator does, those spring plates and the kind of star-shaped triangle back plate, it ramps up. It's a ramp. It compensates for the uneven kind of torque delivery of the V-twin, especially like IO and stuff like that. It compensates for that and also compensates for the sheer aggressiveness of, you know, stuff like clutch dumps and stuff like that, where you're just delivering all that power kind of at once. So it compensates for that. What it does is absorb some of the shock over here before it gets to here. And then theoretically, whatever you have over here and your transmission absorbs some of the shock before it gets to your rear sprocket and or pulley, depending on if you have a belt, which are for pants, or a chain, like I do. So everything along the way, when you take out some of that compensation, you are leaving the next thing up for possible failure because of more abuse. At some point, I might do a different transmission, whether that's a back cut stock trans or a Baker. I'm not sure. Man O' War, they have very good customer service from everything that I've seen. Their manual insert, whatever you want to call it, is extremely detailed, well done and everything. The internal is rebuildable. So you don't have to worry about, you know, if stuff gets worn out and you need it rebuilt or it breaks and whatever weird something is going on, it is rebuildable. So in my experience, everything I've heard about this is a very good product. It takes away some of that compensation a little bit, obviously not as much as like a ramp and spring effect, but enough to where I'm comfortable stressing the rest of the drivetrain with it, because I do have faith in, you know, its ability to absorb a little bit. So I'm pretty excited to run this. 175, let me double check. 175, yep, 175 foot-pounds of torque. They are saying to push this, to torque this bolt down to. Jesus, I'm having some sort of stroke, I guess. So you'll see in the final, or the next video actually, when we install the new clutch pack, which I'm even more excited about that. When we install that, we're gonna basically set the whole thing down on a piece of cardboard, put the chain up to it, and then fit it, because when your bike is in neutral, this shaft is super easy to move. So that's gonna be the shaft that we're gonna try to play with. We'll fit it and then push this on, because it's way easier to do it as a whole, if not damn near impossible to not do it when you're trying to fit. The chain is short, it's a dual chain link, it's real beefy. So yes, like I said, mine did require one spacer on the back. Make sure you put the oil spinner washer on there. And I think that is it. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you check out all the links. Definitely come back or go back, depending on if you saw this late or if you saw it on its release week. Check out the next two videos in this sequence. I'm super excited to build this primary. Hopefully I'll never have to touch it again. I'm just super pumped about it. So make sure you check out everything else in the description. Tucker Speed if you want to get some sweet clothes and or parts for your bike. Make sure you use the affiliate code and the coupon code in my video descriptions. Thank you guys for watching, and until the next time, guys, ride safe, have fun. Dad out.